Hi, I'm Sharon. Welcome to Surviving Together. Today, I want to talk about effects of childhood trauma, specifically the ACES study. We talked about this in a live, and it had a lot of response to it, so I wanted to make a short video that just kind of puts it all together for you. The ACES study was done in the mid 1990s, and what ACES stands for is Adverse Childhood Experiences, ACES for short. And it was a collaboration between the CDC and Kaiser Permanente. And what they did is they interviewed about 17,500 people, majority of which were white, nearly 75%, and the majority of which were college educated, or at least had some college, nearly 70%. And I mention that because of what we found out from the study. What the study did is it looked at the correlation between the ACEs, between your adverse childhood reactions, and by childhood we mean 18 and under. So they were asked about their experiences 18 and under. So what is the correlation between those and our physical health over a lifetime, our emotional health over a lifetime? And what they found was very interesting. They asked their questions in 10 different categories. And what those categories were physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, physical and emotional neglect, a parent who was incarcerated, one of your parents was incarcerated, if your parents were divorced. Did you have a parent with mental illness? Did you have a parent with substance abuse or substance addiction or dependency? And was there domestic violence in the home? They did break this down in certain questions for men and women. I'm not going to get down that much into the nitty gritty of it. If you're really interested, I am going to include some links below to the studies and to the findings. I should say to the findings of the studies and the questions. There's a short little questionnaire you can take and get your own ACEs study, ACEs score, I should say. So because of the 10 categories, you had a maximum score of 10. Okay, if you had one childhood experience in that category, you scored a 1. If you had 2 within that category, you still got a 1. Now, they did break that down even more, and the study did look at all of those minutia, and I do have the links to that in the description below where you can read all about that. What the study found is the ACEs themselves related to 7 out of the 10 leading causes of death in the United States. 7 out of 10. That's a lot. What it also found was that if you had a score of 4 or more, you were 2.5 times more likely to develop COPD, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. You were also 4.5 times more likely to suffer from depression. Now, within this study, they found 1 in 6 participants had a score of 6 or more. 6. With a score of 6 or more, they discovered that your life expectancy dropped by 20 years. 20. At 7 or more, So just one more. You were 3.5 times more likely to develop ischemic heart disease, the leading cause of death in America, and 3 times as likely to develop lung cancer. Now, why is there this correlation? Well, it's because of our harmful coping mechanisms to deal with the adverse childhood experiences. So we're talking about all of your addictions, alcohol, drugs, overeating, etc. And also chronic unrelieved stress. So all of that stress building up over a lifetime, it affects our bodies. In fact, there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. And I can't remember the author right now, but I will put it in the link below. An excellent read on how our adverse experiences affect our bodies. The body always feels the effects of the things that we're going through. That's why we're always told, try and reduce your stress level, because chemicals in our body are reacting to that, and body is being affected in ways that we don't even realize at the time. So you may ask yourself, as I did, with so many people being affected by this, why haven't we done something about it? And granted, we are in a different place than we were in the 1990s. This is 30 years ago. All right, almost 30 years ago, I should say. 25. If we knew about this 25 years ago, why isn't this being dealt with on a massive scale? Why aren't we trying to reduce the ACEs significantly so that children aren't growing up having these adverse effects over their lifetime? We've had the AIDS epidemic, we had SARS, we had COVID, we were on an obesity kick for quite a long time. That was a crisis. It's because we don't feel this is a crisis. Why don't we feel this is a crisis? Certainly seems like one to me. The overriding thought is, because this is so pervasive, it is so difficult for each and every one of us to look at this. It's easier to deal with the effects. It's easier to be sick. It's easier to take a pill than it is dealing with the root cause. And until there is a public health crisis, until our public policy changes, we are not going to be effectuating a change on a scale significant enough to make an enormous difference. Now, there are places, there are pockets in the country that have put in place some wonderful programs and are dealing with this at the childhood level and trying to get their experiences better, trying to educate the parents on what needs to happen for them to help the children. There's a few other studies that have been done since the ACES studies, and I will link them below. If you want me to go through them, please leave a comment. I'd be happy to talk about them, to speak about what they've kind of discovered lately. There was the Philadelphia ACES study that was done in 2013. The findings for the original ACES was published in 1998. There is also something called, and I need to get this right, the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, or BRFSS. And what this is, it's a nationwide effort to do a survey in every single state every single year that talks about the ACEs and asks questions of people that they survey. Okay, these are the random phone calls that you get. This is a very important survey, and please, if you ever get one of these phone calls, please participate. I'm begging you. This information is critical for us to know where things are at and to be able to effectuate public policy. Because if we can show, look at where things are, look at how many people are being affected. And there is one for each and every year since the original study occurred. So our last one that we have, I believe, was 2021, or maybe 22's up. Yeah, no, 2022 is up. So we don't have one for 23 yet. And I'd be happy to go through those as well. So if you're interested in kind of seeing what has happened in each year, I can go through somebody's individual state. I can see if somebody's put them together as a nationwide statistics, and we can talk about that from a public policy standpoint. I'm sure that would be fascinating. I really, really hope that we can get to the point where we see how detrimental these factors are to our children. I decided to do a video on this when I looked at these factors and I added up my kids' score. Wow, that hit home. That was a punch in the gut as I realized how many factors he had. Now, he's not quite into adulthood, and I've got a lot of time to be able to work with him. He has a lot of time to be able to work on himself, to not fall into some of these traps, to have positive coping mechanisms, to have outlets for his stress, to be able to deal with stress in a productive manner, and to not have 15 or 20 years knocked off of his life. If you're interested, either as a parent or for yourself, take the quiz. It's 10 questions. You might be surprised how many you fit into. Love to do some more videos on this. Please comment if you want more videos done in regards to these types of studies. Be happy to go through them. Subscribe, hit the bell for notification. Oh, hit that like button. Hit the all under the bell for notifications so that you receive all of my content when it first gets put up. And hopefully you're receiving the alerts for when my lives are going to be. We can only hope and pray with YouTube that it goes through. Anyway, I want you to all remember this is surviving together when we never do it alone. You are worthy, you are valuable, and you are loved. So hugs and love. Bye for now. Thanks.